this morning, a new report shows that more than 3,500 people have experienced homelessness right here in Greenville. A huge finding from the Greenville Homeless Alliance's latest survey that was released today. City leaders are planning to discuss this in less than 2 hours, and Ted Phaeton is live now getting a preview. Hey, Ted.
Hey, Margaret Ann, good morning to you. Yeah, I'm joined here by Susan, coordinator with Greenville Homeless Alliance, and that report expected to come out this morning at 10 a.m. We've had a preview of that, and as we're talking about it, and city leaders are getting ready to talk about the solutions. First, the numbers. What are some of the numbers that shocked you in the findings with this report?
Well, first is the total number. Over 3,600 men, women, and children experienced homelessness over the last 12 months that we have the data to show that, and 1/3 of those are children in our Greenville County schools.
Yeah, and that's very shocking to hear because, of course, when you hear about homelessness, it's never good to hear it. But when you hear that those numbers and 1/3 being children, you really kind of have more of an incentive to want to help out. What are some things that city leaders maybe can discuss today in terms of helping out the homeless population?
One thing that the report highlights is we need to immediately respond with 850 different types of housing options, and about 350 of those would be dedicated to help the children. And what we want the community to understand is currently only about 10% of our children and their families have any access to end their homelessness, and that is tied to different federal definitions of homelessness.
Yeah.
So we want the community to understand if we can surround these families and bring the resources together, it will help drive these numbers down.
Yeah, absolutely. And speaking of the solutions, we were talking about during the commercial break about how 2/3 of the homeless population is sheltered, but you mentioned that they also don't have too much of a solution in sight for them as they come to these shelters.
Right. We have many men and women who are working and staying in our shelters, and so if we can again open up 400 housing options for those individuals to exit from shelter, we'll be ready to catch people who are new to experiencing homelessness. And that's really what emergency shelters are designed for, to be there in a crisis.
Yeah, and talking about the transportation to and from work for this population, these folks needing reliable transportation, how can public transit help in that effort?
Public transit is a huge mobility issue and something that will help everyone in our community. Specifically, any job paying about $15 an hour or less really relies on public transit to get to and from their work each day.
Yeah.
And so those are many, many jobs that without those people arriving to work, our economy simply can't run efficiently and effectively.
Yeah, well, Susan with Greenville Homeless Alliance, definitely going to be waiting for the full report at 10 o'clock this morning. Also knowing city leaders coming together to discuss the solutions, where the discussion is the beginning to the solution. So
Yes.
Thank you so much for joining us this morning.
All right, thank you very much.
Excellent. Margaret, we're going to send it back to you.
All right. Thanks so much, Ted.